Okay, let's get started on the 13th video for assignment number 1, site model for spring semester of architecture 53-54. And what we're going to do here is put in what I call the base building. Now, this is a mass model of the square footage of the building. It is not intended to be a design solution. It's just a representative massing of how much building we're going to have on our site so that we can make some programmatic decisions about how many stories we should have, whether we're going to need a basement or not, and so forth. I'm going to assume we're going to do 3 stories. We're going to use the square right here on the property line and assume that we can build right up to this property line. So that's out 8,000 square feet. I'm not particularly 100% sure exactly the size of your building, but make adjustments as you see necessary. So let's do it. Well, the first thing we're going to do is create a mass model. Well, I take that back. Let's don't create the mass model first. Let's go in and establish some levels first. Okay, so I'm going to go into an elevation. Let's just choose the south elevation as a good elevation to start with. Okay, and this is where I might begin to change some of these elevations to represent elevations of my building, the ones that we used for the massing of the civil engineering building, for instance. Uh, let's go in here then, and what I'm going to do is our finished floor is at 1 foot. As a general rule, um, most people, most architects, most designers, their first floor is a little taller than norm, okay, and usually 16 to 18 feet from floor to floor. And then floors from that point on are, in a general rule, as a general rule, 14 feet floor to floor if you are doing steel. Depending on your spans and whether you're doing concrete, you may be a little bit uh, more than 14 feet. Well, we're going to assume 14 feet. We're going to assume 18 feet for the first floor. I'm going to go to the high end of that. And so what I'm going to do is, if the finished floor is at 1 foot and then floor to floor should be 18, this should be at 19. So what I'm going to do is come back in, and I could hide this level and keep it if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to bother with that. It'll just clutter my whole model up. So I'm going to call this the second, uh, second finish, and I'll use the same naming convention that I used on the one below it, finished floor. You could put the periods in. You could just use a space to save some length. And so then I'm going to put this up. So 1 foot to 18 feet is going to be 19 feet. Okay, from floor to floor. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take these two right here. Okay, I'm going to unlock anything that's connected to those. I'm also going to unlock that. Uh, let's unlock this. Make sure that this is unlocked. Okay. That should do it. I think those are the only things that I actually locked. If we move it and it moves incorrectly, then we'll fix it. So this is the third floor. So we got 1 floor, 2 floor. This is going to be the third floor, and this is going to be the roof. And if the roof is 28 feet above this, then I'm going to come in and we'll say this is top of roof. Okay, and we're going to add 28 feet to this 19 feet, which turns out to be 47 feet. So let's zoom in here. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of things unless you zoom in on them. So I'm going to set that at 40. Oh, what did I? Oh, inches. No. No. We don't want that. 47 feet, right? And so we're going to move that up to 47 feet. And then this right here would be 19 feet. This would be the what would be the third. Once again, I'm going to use the same third finished floor. And 19 plus 14 is what, 33? Is that right? That's right. So we're going to put this at 33 feet. Okay. So now we have our finished floors and then our top of our roof. And actually the top of our roof might involve a little bit more dimensions, but we can change it later if you want. That's close enough for this kind of programming model. And I consider this a programming model, okay? I do not consider this a design solution. This is to just get some information about our building. So now we have 3 stories. The next thing we want is some kind of basement in here. Okay, and usually you need a clear space between your structure and the floor for of at least 11 feet. So I'm going to go once again about 15 feet down. Okay. The other thing that now that I'm not using this top of street, I'm going to hide it. Hide view, element. I don't need that. I'm going to go ahead and leave the curb since it's 0, 0. And so from here down should be, I'm going to go minus 14 feet. So once again, I'm going to draw a line. Let's just, we'll do a copy initially. Okay. Now the one problem with copies of levels, when we copy them, I think that's it. No, that's a model line. Topography, come on, tab that, level, curve, there we go. Okay, so let's take that, we'll hold the control key down and we're going to scroll this down. I'm just going to scroll it down and then I'm going to set the, so this should be 0, we'll just go to minus 15 feet for right now. Maybe have to be deeper than that. And then we'll say this is basement finish floor. Okay, base finish floor. And so now I have the heights to the different components that I want, or the different floors that I want in my model. So now I'm going to go into site work right here, and this is 8,000 square feet. I'm going to assume that our footprint is going to be 8,000 square feet with a vertical conditions, right? So I'm just going to build massing, in place mass. I'm going to call this my base building. Base, BLDG. I like to abbreviate things so the names don't get so long. And I'll call it O1 because I may have multiple base buildings depending on different kind of orientations I may want. And I'm just going to, once again, use the rectangle command here, draw that. And notice that I'm not worrying right now about, oh, I went into modify, probably shouldn't have. Let's grab that. Okay, now I've got that, and I'm going to project it into solid form. And once again, I'm not worrying too much about how tall it is, because what I'm going to do is go into the south elevation right here, and there it is, right? And I'm going to finish. And for some reason there we go. There it is right there. Okay, so there's my mass building. Once again, I could change the materials of it, but once I do these next few steps, you'll see that it's going to change. So I'm going to take the mass building all the way to the top here, and then I'm also going to take it all the way to the basement there. Okay, and you'll notice that this showed up right here. Okay, um, because the shading for the topography is not extended. So how do I extend that for topography? And I'll go in this in other videos, but we'll just do that real quick. We need to select the topography. Okay, so I'm going to select the topography, and so to modify the depth of that topo there, what we're going to do is go into massing and site here, and this little arrow is going to give us this dialog box right here. And what this dialog box does is it tells us about contour lines, in other words, how to display contour lines every 10 feet in this case, okay, or every 5 feet or 20 feet, passing through elevation 0, 0, da 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 da. And then you'll see here start and stop, so forth. But down here, you'll see section graphics through the topo, okay? And this is the material that it's using, okay? I can go in and change. Right now, it's using an earth material, and therefore, when it cuts through pattern graphics right here, you know, it has that earth pattern, that standard earth pattern. I can go in there and change that to a solid if I want to, or whatever I wanted to do it. The other thing is that you'll see right here, elevation poche base, okay? And this is how deep it will poche. And I'm just going to go minus, say, 50 feet with the assumption that we're not going to go into the ground further than 50 feet. Okay? So I'm going to accept that. You'll notice that then now that earth symbol has been extended down to 50 feet. And of course, if I don't want it to be 50 feet, I can do the crop here and tell it to, anyway, crop, there we go, crop region. Oh yeah, turn on crop region here, hide crop view. Okay, and when I crop it, of course, then we can't see the rest of that topo. So topo done. Let's go back to now site axo. Here we have our mass. Okay, it's going below grade, as you can see right there. The next thing we're going to do now that we have our massing is we're going to go in and do what is called mass floors. So I'm going to select that mass, and when I do, you're going to get this little icon up here under the object banner, and I'm going to click on mass floors. Okay, and then tell it which of my levels I want to use for a mass floor. Okay, do not use top of roof because that's a roof, and it'll assume the last surface is a roof in this process. So we don't want one at curb, right? Basement finished floor, we want a mass floor. We want a mass floor at the third floor, the second floor, and the first floor. Okay, and that's all. Top of street, no. Curb, no. Top of roof, no. And so we're going to answer okay to that. And you'll notice that all of a sudden it put mass floors in here. So we now have a representation of those floors at mass floors at, now this is not a component floor, this is just what is called a mass floor. In the next video, I'm going to go through and then show you how to do a kind of base building of the form. But that's you know, a basic mass of our square footage of our building. Okay, and we can see now it's proportioned to everything. Okay, of course it's taller than all the other buildings around it, which I'm not. Well, it may not be taller than Holden Hall. You know, but it probably definitely reaches the maximum limit we want to go. Now, we might want to change, once again, that first floor not to be 18 feet, okay? And to do that, all we need to do is go in and change the level. So if we go into the south elevation and I'm going to tie all these together with a dimension, okay? There we go. And what I'm going to do then, I'm going to change here. If I change this down to, I don't know, say 16 feet instead, okay. Oops. Oh, got 2 feet marks in there. We don't want that. Okay. You'll notice it didn't change this one, so I'll need to change these two so that they're only, and I could use this dimension to do that, and sometimes that's easier. Okay. So if I put 14 feet in here, boom, oh, it pulled that back up. I need to lock this. Okay. Edit, undo. Okay. I can lock that dimension. If I do, then it won't allow that to move. And so I can say 14 feet here, and it would move it down, and another 14 feet here, and it would move this one down. Whoops, I have to lock the other one. Anyway, you got the idea. Let's move on to the next video.